it's only taken me about 6 years, but by popular request, I've been asked to do a tutorial of the middle solo for Comfortably Numb. Some of you might have seen my lesson on the outro solo to the studio version of Comfortably Numb. So sorry it's a long time coming, but for a while I resisted putting more tutorial style videos up on YouTube. One reason being frequent copyright strikes. You never know what's going to be taken down. And the other reason being the comments from the self-appointed Pink Floyd police along the lines of,
"You talk too much,"
and
"You're going too fast,"
and
"You're going too slow,"
and
"You're using the wrong brand of guitar,"
and
"I don't like your trousers,"
and
"I've had a bad week, so I'm going to take it out on you,"
and
"I hate you, random guitar bloke on YouTube," despite the fact that we probably have a lot in common due to our shared love of guitars.
you get the idea. Anyway, we're going to break the solo down note for note, but we're also going to do a harmonic analysis on it, because while it's one thing to learn the notes, you know, that kind of painting by numbers method, it's really, really important to understand the context and to understand why a lot of people have an emotional connection with this song, you know, and a lot of that is down to the chord progression and David Gilmour's note choice. You know, there's not a one-size-fits-all scale for soloing over this. He's using chord tones. He's really, really playing into the chord changes, using triads and arpeggios, and that's kind of what makes it a really beautiful solo. And it kind of provides stark contrast to the outro solo, which is predominantly, you know, a kind of B minor pentatonic affair, and arguably just as beautiful a solo, but in different ways. You know, this is very much a kind of major key, you know, kind of uplifting, I suppose, but still a little bit melancholy, whereas the outro solo is, you know, just a classic rock guitar solo. And it's important that you understand what you're playing so you can reuse a lot of these ideas and concepts and incorporate them into your own playing. And as we go through the solo, I'm going to show you a few alternative ways to play certain licks based on what I've observed from many, many live versions I've seen, not only by David Gilmour himself, but you know, by players such as Dave Kilminster, for example, who plays with Roger Waters, and just a few alternative ideas to, you know, still sound like you're playing Comfortably Numb, but to avoid some of the bigger bends, perhaps, or some of the kind of raking into the arpeggios.
Get on with it.
So before we get into it, please do hit like and subscribe. It will really help to grow the channel. I also have a completely free blues rock phrasing course, which you can find in the description below. So as I say, it's important to know what we're playing over, and we're actually playing over, I guess, the chorus or the B section of the song. So we've got D major, 3, 4 to A. It's just the basic chords. We do that twice. D major to A, and then we go to C, 2, 3, 4, G. That twice. 3, 4, and then for the chorus bit, A, C, G, D, and then we go back into, you know, the verse. We've got the B minor, A, G, B minor, just so you know. So that's, you know, the two, it's kind of B minor being the relative minor of D major. You know, there's real kind of contrast between the two sections. So what we're doing, and what Gilmour's doing, is he's Gilmour, like I know him. What Mr. Gilmour is playing is he's playing chord tones. So we go into this first lick. We're actually playing this F sharp, which is the major third of the D chord. Now, a little caveat here. I sweep into this note via a D major triad. So I'm kind of outlining, it's like a D major chord down here, but an octave higher, so 12 frets higher. So 14 on the G, 15 on the B, 14 on the high E. And I'm doing a downstroke, just kind of raking into this F sharp note, and you might want to add some whammy bar vibrato, because with whammy bar vibrato you can go above and below the note, and that's something that Gilmour does a lot. Now, I will probably have the Pink Floyd police coming after me for this, because when I've seen subsequent versions of Gilmour playing it live, he kind of just sometimes just kind of rakes into the note indiscriminately. And when you think about the late 70s, sweep picking wasn't really a thing as such, but he did do it in all but name. You know, we're not talking about kind of the Yngwie thing. So it sounds to my ears like the notes leading into it are notes, not just kind of string noise. I mean, you can fight me on that if you want, but that's what we've got. There's another way you can achieve that. You can go where we're playing the same notes, but I'm kind of doing this partial bar on the 10th fret between the B and the high E string. I'm doing 2 downstrokes and then an upstroke on this F sharp. Bit more of a stretch, but it's kind of arguably safer. But just to have some sort of noise, you know, some people will just kind of just rake into it, but there's definitely something on the start. There's an ornament on the start of that note. And then what we do there, we bend. I'm assuming that you know this solo inside and out. You've heard it dozens and dozens of times, otherwise it's not going to make sense, you know, out of context. So we've got this note here, whammy bar vibrato probably, this F sharp, and then we've got, so that's a semitone bend, using my second finger for this, on the 14th fret, bend up half a step and release it. And then we've got, and we're bending 14 on the B string. There's a descent to that bend that you can hear. And then what we've got here, we've got 15 on the B, 14 on the B, hit 14 on the B again, that's 14 on G, 14 on the D, and then down to 12 on the D string. Putting that all together, we've got 2, 3, and I'm deliberately using a clean sound just for this playthrough, just to, you know, take any effects or any kind of distortion or overdrive off, because it, you know, doesn't sound pleasant when you, it kind of sounds like you're in a guitar shop when you just kind of play with full-on distortion without accompaniment, in my opinion. So what's going on harmonically? Well, we've established that we're playing into that D chord, but when we get to here, see, we're bending up to this E note. That's not just a random note that he's chosen. What's wrong with my accent? That's not just a random note that he's chosen. He's actually hitting the 5th. He's hitting a chord tone of the A chord that happens to be happening in the progression. So that's why. And then these 3 notes are straight out of an A major triad. It's the 3rd, the root, and the 5th. So again, chord tones. Chord tones are root notes, 3rds, 5ths, and 7ths of chords. But in this case, we're just dealing with major chords. That's why that sounds good. You know, I mean, a lot of it's also in the fingers, it's in the execution, it's in the emotion that he puts behind it. You know, some might say it's in the whatever pedal or whatever he's using, but that really is kind of secondary, you know. So, and why does he choose this D note there? Well, we've gone back to the D chord at that point, so we're landing on the root note. It's all chord tones. Next we've got so this bit here, I'm doing the same rake, landing on this F sharp note. So this is a D arpeggio, D triad. You're probably going to want to bend that with your first finger, or you could do this again that we did earlier, but same thing going on harmonically, you know, outlining the D chord. then landing on the 5th of the A chord. And then again, we're kind of going, we're moving through the A chord. So that's 15, pull off to 14 on the B, 14 on the G, 14 on the D. Slide down to 12 on the D. And then 11 on the D. And then 9. And then 7 on the D. I'm doing all that on one string. You might play it on 2 different strings. You know, it's semantics at this point, but that's what I play. So, and it will get us into this position here. So at this point, we're moving to a C major chord. And we've got a big bend here, tone and a half. We're bending 9 on the G string. So we're bending that E note up to a G, which in relation to the C chord is the 5th again, so chord tones. You can just fret that note. You don't have to bend to it. I think, don't quote me on this, but it's been a while since I watched the video, but I've seen a live version of Roger Waters doing this with Eddie Vedder singing the Gilmour parts, and Dave Kilminster, I think, he's playing a Sir Telly style guitar, I believe. I think he just goes straight to that G. Sounds fine. But I think if you bend up, you don't really hear the ascent of the bend, but it sounds like he's bending up a tone and a half and putting a little bit of upwards whammy bar vibrato. That's hard to say. Whammy bar vibrato on it. I used to do this. I used to go bend up half a step from that F sharp on the 11th fret. That's another thing you can do, but this is what I do these days. And then, so then we've got 11, 9, 7 on the G string. So, and then same 3 notes. So that's 11 on, it's all on the G string, 11, pull off to 9, hit 9 again, slide down to 7, and then pick that again. So we've got and then so what's going on there? That's so that those 2 notes there. Well, we're kind of targeting the 5th of the G chord, just to kind of backtrack and give you some context for the note choices. And then we've got, so we're doing 9 on the G, pull off to 7, and then 9 on the D, and then 7, hammer on to 9 on the G. Up to 11 on the G. And then we're bending up half a step. We're bending up to that G note. Again, that's the 5th of the C chord that's happening underneath. And it's a very slow ascent that he does. You can hear that. It's quite, you know, emotive, and, you know, there's almost a yearning. It's very mournful. And then we've got a nice kind of arpeggio fest there. Arpeggio fest? Are you going there this year? I'm going to Chicken Stock. So it's again, I'm raking into this. You're hearing some sort of rake. Obviously, it's years and years ago that he played this, but there's definitely something on top of those notes, some sort of kind of sweeping or raking going on. But why not make it musical rather than, you know, this sort of thing? So I'm sweeping. You know, that's what I do. So we've got this 14 on the G, 15 on the B, 14 on the high E, and then 15 on the high E, pull off to 14, slide down to 12 on the high E, and then that's 15, pull off to 12 on the B, and then that's 12 on the G, 12 on the D. So what's happening there? So we're kind of, this point here, we're right on a G triad. We're playing the root and the fifth of the chord. Again, chord tones. So, and then a little tag there. That's all on the D string. 10, 9, and pick it again. So 10, pull off to 9, pick it again. And then 10, pull off to 9 again, and then slide down to 7 on the D. That's the part with I have become comfortably numb. So, you know, again, intentional notes. We're landing on the A note, which is the root note of the A chord. There's a little tag when he sings I have become comfortably numb. There's a which is similar to a lick we played earlier. So we've got a tone and a half bend there on 9 on the G string. And a little scoop there, bending up just a tone, just 2 frets worth on 9 again on the G. So you kind of scoop it, you know, you bend, let it descend and bend again. And then 7 on the G. And then just a little kind of grace note slide up to 9 on the G, and then back down to 7. And that's it. So at that point, comfortably numb, we're landing on the 5th of the D chord. So lots of chord tones, and you know, a few different ways to play it, lots of kind of note choices. Yeah, I've got my own way of playing this. You've got your, you know, you'll have your own unique way of playing this, whether you do the sweeps, whether you just kind of rake into the notes. But to be honest, you know, I've heard people play this solo and they sound like they're playing it with a knife and fork. You know, it takes a bit of finesse, and I really think if you can kind of treat those notes, treat every note like you mean it, you know. Think about your vibrato, think about, you know, note production, think about the little accents that you put onto the notes, the vibrato, I've said vibrato, you know, the kind of sweeping or raking into the notes, and the phrasing, and really kind of listen. I found this before when I played with, or for a long time I played with Pink Floyd tribute bands, and there's a thing that I started to call mid-tour drift, where you would learn the solos. People expect to hear them note for note like the original. You know, they're not expecting even like the pulse or delicate sound of thunder version of a certain song. You know, the vast majority of people in the audience want to hear the studio version. That's what they've heard on the radio. I'm not talking specifically about Comfortably Numb, but you know, other songs, other bands even. You know. And they're hanging on every note. They're expecting to hear it delivered in you know, as close to the same way as you can. And we're all different. We've all got different interpretations of it. But this kind of mid-tour drift thing, not to be confused with longshore drift. You'll learn the solo, you'll learn all the little kind of articulations, and then you'll be halfway through a tour, kind of 3 months in, and it will start to drift. You'll start to kind of put your own phrasing. You might be playing the right notes, but, the phrasing, the rhythm might be slightly different. And it's important to go back and revisit the original recording. Otherwise, you're just going to sound like some bloke off YouTube playing it, like me. But yeah, it's a great solo. It's a beautiful solo. Do check out if you haven't already, do check out my tutorial, very old tutorial of the outro solo if you want to learn that. And let me know in the comments below what your favourite David Gilmour solo is, or any other kind of solo transcriptions that you'd like to see, providing I can get away with them. I know there are some artists who just blanket remove content from YouTube if it references any of their songs. Do check out my free course. The link will be down below, and subscribe and like if you want to see more of this content. Until next time, guys, have a great weekend, or have a great Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day it is you're watching this, and I'll see you soon. Cheers. Oh, regarding the sound, I'm using Neural DSP Quad Cortex. I just dialed the sound in. I'm not even looking at it right now. This is my clean sound. It was just basically a Rat pedal, a high watt, I think. There was a high watt capture, a 4x12 cab with a kind of rotary effect for the kind of chorusy sound. Apparently, David Gilmour was using the rotary effect. If you're really interested in how to get the sounds, then check out gilmourish.com. There's a gentleman who runs that site called Bjorn's been running it for years, and he's very, very thorough, and he's very, very analytical on what gear Gilmour was using at any particular time. So that's a really, really good resource. Just got a little bit of reverb and a little bit of delay on there. Again, I haven't really taken the time to nail the tone exactly. Just kind of threw it together, but that will get you somewhere in the ballpark anyway. Cheers, guys. Bye.